Living with someone who's narcissistic is challenging at best and almost always incredibly stressful. So it's very natural to wonder, can this person ever change? Will they? What would that even take? Hi, my name's Nick Wignall. I'm a clinical psychologist and the founder of The Friendly Mind, a free weekly newsletter where I share practical, evidence-based advice for emotional health and well-being. Today, I'm answering a reader question about whether it's really possible for a narcissist to change. A reader asks, my husband is a narcissist and I don't think I can take it anymore. I can't imagine leaving him completely, but I also can't fathom living in a relationship like this the rest of my life. Is it possible for a narcissist to really change? First of all, I would think carefully about labeling or referring to your husband as a narcissist. We don't call people schizophrenics anymore because while they might have schizophrenia or experience that, it doesn't define who they are as a person completely. Similarly, as problematic as having narcissistic tendencies can be for the person themselves and for the people in their lives, as you well know, it's neither true nor helpful to label them as a narcissist because despite how it might feel, a lot of the time, they are much more than simply a narcissist. Now, as to your question about whether your husband, assuming he has a lot of narcissism, whether he can change or not, the way I would think about it is this. Consider a few of these examples here. Can someone who's been extremely timid, passive, overly deferential, people-pleasing their whole life, can they learn to become much more assertive and confident? Or, take another example, can someone who's been addicted to a substance, say alcohol or opiates, for decades, can they completely drop their addiction and move on with their life? Or, say, can someone who is 60 years old, who's never had a musical bone in their body their entire lives, can they learn to play the piano? I think in all of these cases, I would say absolutely yes. People can make profound changes to their character, their behavior. There's even evidence to some degree people can change their basic personality structure. The question is it likely? And that depends on a lot of complex and complicating factors, from the person's own level of self-awareness about their narcissism, to their motivation to do anything differently, to incentive structures in their environments, to even just their resources. What kind of resources do they have to make such a big change in their life? At the end of the day, only your husband can make the decision to change, to be different than he is now. The implication of this is that it's up to you to think very carefully about your values and whether it makes sense to either stay with him and accept him as he is, or to think about making a big change to the nature of your relationship. Because while just about everyone can change, most people don't. So my advice would basically be twofold. Because you seem to have a lot of ambivalence or confusion about what you actually want in this situation, whether to stay or whether to leave, for instance, I would recommend really thinking seriously about and putting some real time into some personal values clarification. That is, trying to understand and really clarify what are my values and how can those help guide and inform my decision about this complicated situation with my relationship with my husband. Next, whatever you decide to do, whether you decide to stay in the relationship or leave it, either way is going to require that you become, very likely, more assertive and better at setting good boundaries. So those are two things you really want to work on. Of course, assertiveness is a big topic and it's often a very intimidating one, especially if you have a long history of not being especially assertive. So to address that, I've put together a small PDF guide called what I call the Assertive Communication Cheat Sheet. And it basically lists just a few of the most important key ideas as you start to practice becoming more assertive. So it's there to kind of scaffold or help you in this aspiration to communicate more assertively. So if you want to get that guide, I will put a link to it in the description or notes below. Lastly, if you enjoyed this video, I have another video that I think you'll really like. It's called How to Let Go of Resentments.